NASCAR rolls into the Irish Hills in Michigan. This week in the NASCAR Cup Series, let's talk about it. Hey guys, Ryan here, and welcome to another episode of Fantasy Friday, which we will be talking about the betting odds and the NASCAR Fantasy Live implications of the upcoming race at the Michigan International Speedway. So, of course, if you guys are excited, let's hit the like button and let's get right into it. Up over here on the side of the screen, we have got ourselves the betting odds, and what? Are you kidding me? How is Kevin Harvick, who has won 4 races here, at least, in the last 5 attempts. I don't remember who won it in 2021, but I remember he swept this race in 2020, and he won last year. How is he only 6th place on the betting odds? Like, who is making this list? Okay. So, besides Kevin Harvick, which we are going to ignore the fact that he's criminally underrated right now on the according to this betting odds sheet that I pulled up. That's according to the NASCAR app themselves. Denny Hamlin. All right, let's see. Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Kyle Larson. Not bad picks near the top of the list. I mean, especially the Hendrick Chevys. I could see them having a good day. And certainly they could be a good bet if you have the uses left, especially on someone like a William Byron, who I don't know about his abilities at Daytona in particular to try and survive there, or the Indy Road Course. I think it might be a good use, especially if you have uses left to William Byron, to try and use him, especially as I believe he's still in contention to try and make a push for that regular season championship, which we will definitely be talking about in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. But yeah, Kyle Larson, he's kind of just a good hat trick anywhere, but he's also the last non-Chevy driver, I believe, to win this race at all, is Kyle Larson back in 2017. So yeah, it's been a while. Ford has been absolutely dominant, and hence why I'm a little upset that not only is Kevin Harvick pretty low over there, you also only have 2 other Fords right at the bottom of the list, barely sneaking in. And mind you, it's not like 11th, 12th, and 13th are also Fords. No, those are the only Fords until you get all the way down to 15th place in the odds list. So, yeah, not exactly the best looking odds for Ford, even though they have absolutely decimated this track in recent years. Kyle Busch, he won the race at Auto Club earlier this year, a very similar layout, 2-mile speedway. Of course, that track is a lot more rough and it has a lot more age to the surface, so potentially there won't be a ton of overlap, but I don't mind seeing him in the top 10. But again, by no means should any of those top 4 be higher, or top 5 be higher than Kevin Harvick, who is in 6th place at almost double the odds of the favorite, which is Denny Hamlin. So, yeah, Kevin Harvick, he is pretty much a must-start. I know I've said that a few times about some drivers, and some of them go and just shoot themselves in the foot. Christopher Bell, number 20 team, New Hampshire. But Kevin Harvick is a very reliable driver here. He has been very fast here in the past, and if he's going to win a race here in his farewell season, Michigan is almost certainly his best bet to do so. Then you keep scrolling down the field, it kind of looks like they're counting a lot of Kansas drivers who did well at Kansas this year as potential to also do well in the Cup race here at Michigan. So, again, if that ends up being correct, I don't mind that part of the odds, seeing some Toyota names up there, but Reddick in particular I would be a little cautious of, although, again, the 45 did get a top 10 here last year for the in the hands of Ty Gibbs, so it's possible. And then rounding out your top 10, you had Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. Again, I think that absolutely those 2 drivers deserve to be in the top 10. Probably deserve to be about 6th and 7th on my list would be how I'd rank them, but I'm okay with that one. But, man, can't believe Kevin Harvick got snubbed here and got put so far down. But, yeah, so that's the top 10. Okay, so there's the underdogs, and, yeah, let's talk about some of these guys who are A little further down the odds sheet, although Michigan as a track is really more of a front runner's suit, I think probably 3 to 4 of your starters should come from that top 10. In particular, Kevin Harvick, I think, again, must start. But laying down the list, you got Brad Keselowski over there. He was 15th in terms of odds, so we'll have to wait and see. But, of course, his teammate just won at Richmond last week. And, again, I'm very high on the Fords coming into Michigan this week, so I would say both of those guys are good bets. Alex Bowman, you probably have uses left on, and where he needs to win to get into the playoffs, and this is probably his best hope remaining. I would say that it's a pretty good shot that he could show up with a car to win. In particular, I could see Rick Hendrick trying to make this a must-win race for him by giving him a car that could potentially go out there and win. Then looking further down the list, you got guys like Daniel Suarez, Eric Almirola in a Ford. A couple of the other Fords on the list I just kind of threw in because they're Fords, but typically, this race tends to lend itself to the guys in good equipment, so I would be inclined to say that you should probably be focusing your roster around that top 10. Again, some other names on that list. Again, the other SHR cars, I put them in there. Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe, both pretty good bets. And as I've mentioned a lot over the last few weeks, but can't really count out Michael McDowell or AJ Allmendinger further down the odds sheet, where they really need the points to try and point their way into the top 16 or to hold on to that top 16 placement for the playoffs, especially after Allmendinger had a really bad race at Richmond, partially due to him being stupid and not qualifying. Austin Hill is running this race as well. This was the site, I believe, of his first career start last year in the number 33 car for RCR, so they had good faith in him to put him in this race last year. I could see him doing well in the NASCAR Cup Series here for the Beard Motorsports team. I just don't know how good that car itself is going to be, so I would say it's a question mark. But if you're really low on use of some of the front guys and you need somebody to take some heat off, but you don't want to go completely outside the box, Austin Hill could be a good bet. I'm just saying. And then going on to the final kind of shout-outs, some of the guys kind of in that middle field, kind of 11th through 15th is mainly where I'm going to be focusing here. All right, and then I'm just going to give a quick shout-out to a couple of the guys who are 11th through 15th here. Not going to put up the full list of their betting odds or anything, but just kind of some names to not forget. Chase Elliott, early in his career, was an absolute beast at the Michigan International Speedway, and I wouldn't put it past him potentially showing up to this track in win now mode, because I think he has to be in win now mode. He's 40 points behind the playoff cut line, and with each passing race, it is looking harder and harder to point his way back, even though he keeps clawing back massive amounts of points, just because of the Herculean task that stood before him a few weeks ago. And at this point, there is no reason he should be thinking anything other than winning here, Michigan, or here, Indy, or Watkins Glen over the next 3 weeks, because you don't want to have to go into Daytona in a must-win. That is one of the worst situations to be in. Bubba Wallace, this is one of his best tracks historically. He won a truck race here back when he used to drive for KBM. Ty Gibbs getting his first top 10 of his NASCAR Cup Series career in his second start here last year certainly points that he could be a good bet. And then a quick shout out to Ross Chastain, who finally won an intermediate race earlier this summer. So potentially, again, trending that he could end up smashing some melons. Although I don't think he's the best at picks, though you might have more uses left of him than some other guys that I would say are pretty even picks. So those are most of my thoughts on the race. So I'm going to go ahead and put together my lineup, and we will discuss my eventual lineup here in just 1 second. Okay, so over here, one last time, I have gone and put up my my personal fantasy picks and the roster I'll be using, barring any major updates, which if an update that major comes out, I will probably have a video out the morning of the race. updating you guys if someone is out sick or potentially, because that's probably the biggest thing that would sway my opinion on these picks. But for the most part, these picks are due to who I have left, who I have uses left of. I have enough Byrons left to use the remainder of the season, so I put him in. Again, I think the Chevys could provide some power, and again, I think Liam Byron wanting to try and vault himself back into that conversation for the for the regular season championship. He needs to perform here because Truex will probably make some strides at the road courses the next 2 weeks. Kyle Busch, he's one of my favorites. I kind of always feel like I need to put him in there, even though I can't obviously always put him in there. But it's a pretty good bet that he could get it. As I mentioned, he won a race at a 2-mile speedway already this year. Nothing's saying that he really can't do that back-to-back. Then the remainder of my list, for the most part, I have 2 Penske cars in there, Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. Both have been very strong at Michigan. Joey Logano's won quite a few races at Michigan in the last few years. And then obviously Kevin Harvick, as I said, pretty much a must start as long as he doesn't get sick or hurt in the week leading up to this race. And then my garage slot I left open for Bubba Wallace, who finished second in this race in last year's Michigan race and also has looked very good at Michigan in the past, and figured he's a long shot that I can put in there. And hey, if I hit on him, it will massively help my lineup. And hey, if it bombs, I can leave him in my garage and it'll be no harm, no foul. But those are my fantasy picks for the upcoming week. Of course, let me know who you guys have for your fantasy picks here in the for the Michigan 400. And of course, tune back in next Friday for my picks about the Indy road course. But until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll be live streaming both Xfinity and Cup Series action this weekend at Michigan. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Last year, what have you guys decided to do with the rest of your day? Have a great day, everybody, and goodbye!